As I was in the process of retiring from photographing weddings, I had a little more time to think about what I wanted my own art practice to be. It had always been a lot more eclectic than it was when I was just photographing weddings. I photographed weddings for 19 years, which is crazy thinking back, but I began to feel pretty creatively stifled. It, as fun as it was, had swallowed up the rest of my creative practice. When I imagined my future life, I just kept thinking about the art I wanted to make and what I wanted my days and nights to be like. I was imagining weekends for the first time in my adult life. I was pretty afraid, but I knew I needed to make the change and I really wanted to, and so I made myself do it. I went to grad school ostensibly for writing at CalArts, but I finished grad school right when the recession was starting. So not wanting to starve, I photographed weddings, which is something that I had started doing in college and really enjoyed. And it was a very good life, but it requires a lot of creative focus in order to be open to people and come to each job with a really open heart. And it meant setting aside my writing and love of literature and the other parts of my art practice. Everyone all of a sudden sort of feels like they have an opinion that they can tell you about. Your accountant and your bookkeeper and your parent will just say, you know, how can you quit? You're so good at this, you're making so much money. You're marching from something you really understand to something you don't understand. I was really lucky in the transition in that even before I knew I needed to be done photographing weddings, my wedding and portrait clients were pulling me in the direction of art consulting. I also had some business savings, and once I was done, I'm done. I used that savings to give myself a little time to think. And I used that time painting acrylic plates for monoprints that I didn't make. But even more than that, when I went to clean up the piece that I had made, I was really fascinated in the destruction. Most people are pretty paranoid about losing the only copy of a manuscript or like accidentally deleting their hard drive. The fear of erasure is real, and I think that tension of erasing your artwork while it's even happening and then like you're documenting it getting erased is a fun project, and eventually that became the Color Wash series. If I dial back and look at a lot of my work, I spent all these years documenting these fleeting moments for clients that, you know, we really do hang on to. It's not just that we try to hang on to them, it's that we do hang on to them throughout our lives. The process that I'm doing now is really invested in hanging on to things that are impermanent. When I document the paintings as they fall apart and change, my perspective is formal, and I can say, look at this, look at this, look at this, which is something you don't really have as an artist a chance to do with a painting in its entirety. Every film stock is kind of like a very specific palette that you're picking, and it gives you sort of like a certain range of colors that you can achieve. Painters do this by putting out whatever colors they put on their palette, but when you use photography, you're letting someone make that choice for you by choosing a film stock. So we're kind of painting with all the same palette, and I like that CineStill has a different palette. Other films, you choose them because they're so vibrant and vivid and you feel like what it's showing you is really real. The 800T is great for what I'm doing now because this, I think, shows you the dream. I recently started this other series where I'm essentially just photographing colored paper and kind of bending the light and colors. I don't know if 50D is meant for other tones, but I just love how it looks with the natural world. I mean, it's a blue and green and brown planet, and I love how those colors look in that film. So it's gorgeous outdoors. I think there's a really nice thing about being able to really pause and gaze into a moment that passes so quickly. That's part of the magic of a photograph. And these are really tiny universes. I mean, there is a part of it where they look like the scale is actually giant. I think there's a point at which you realize you're gazing at something that was so tiny and transient, and that's a nice reflection. My name is Gia Canali, and I'm an artist and art consultant living and working in Los Angeles.